Yo, what is up, Orange Bloods Live Nation? It's House Divided here on Orange Bloods Live. I'm Jeff Ketchum. That is Chad Hastings. Like, comment, subscribe to the page. Do all those things. It is the eve of National Signing Day. No offense to anybody that wants to talk about Texas and Georgia, but that's probably a Thursday initiative. There's a lot going on. I'm predicting it right now, Chad. Oh, I did that thing where I've got the damn YouTube channel up and
What
then
a
your double dose of catch. Sorry about that.
He was about to get so like you're about to bring it so hard, and then the echo happens.
I was literally about to say I think this is going to be the best show of the year, and then that happens.
Oh my God!
No, I do. I think that this is going to be the best House Divided of the year. We're less than 24 hours away from National Signing Day. And look, real quick, everybody jump into the Specs chat. Feel free to send super chats, but don't take us off topic today. Don't. I don't want your super chat for $1.99 if you're like, hey, what do you think about Carson Beck? I get it, man, but I think we're on the precipice of maybe the most memorable 24-hour windows before National Signing Day that I think on the national level that maybe anybody has ever seen. I think on the Texas level, I compared it in the last hour. Steve Sarkisian is Danny Ocean, and he's got the Ocean's 11 gang together, and they are going to try to rob Terry Benedict. Now, it doesn't always go off. The Ocean's 11 gang always makes it happen. But Danny Ocean also did some time in jail. So sometimes you do get caught. But the last 24 hours, Chad, have been absolutely bonkers. My sourcing, which, sometimes it feels good to know the right people. And I've never felt more confident going into this show to kind of talk about some of the things that we're talking about, unlike the things that we're talking about. Like I just feel like I've got some really good insight, a little bit of a Lord Varys thing from Game of Thrones. We're both bald. My wife keeps my balls in her purse, so neither one of us had those.
Mine travels around in a bus in Manor every day.
But I've heard yours goes all over. Yeah, well traveled. So I guess I'll start here. Earlier today, Texas lands a commitment from Kade Phillips, the cornerback from Fort Bend Hightower. He had been a summer commit who flipped to LSU, and it's really interesting because Kade Phillips' story starts. I can remember him being at a junior day at Texas and leaving the junior. And Sukamel probably told this story on the modcast. Back then, he told Jason as he was leaving Texas, it's kind of 50-50 between Texas and LSU. I kind of leaned towards LSU a little bit. And we thought, well, that's not good when the guy's just been on campus. But then he commits to Texas. But then he flips to LSU. And then you remind yourself, well, he did say that literally 5 minutes after he left Austin back in the spring. And now he flips back to Texas. This is a big one for Texas. Now, he's rated as a 5-star by On3 and a high 4-star by 24/7. So it makes him a consensus super blue chip. I think the other national services, ESPN and Rivals, will eventually get there. Texas had him as a top 3 priority. So, matter of fact, I asked about Nate Marshall, the 5-star defensive end, to a source yesterday. And that source responded back, not really with a whole lot of discussion about Marshall, although that could happen very easily. We'll get to him in a second. I was told the big 3. Justice Terry, the number 1 defensive tackle in the country, top 10 player in the country. Michael Fasusi, 5-star offensive lineman. We've talked about him a million times. And then the commitment from today.
Kade Phillips.
Yes. Sorry.
Yeah.
Name went blank there for a second. Kade Phillips.
Yeah.
Now, Kade Phillips, I didn't think about him in the summer like I do today. If you go find his huddle film from his senior year, you're looking at a guy that's probably a 5-star. Somebody threw out UTX, one of the famed posters over the years from orangebloods.com, the man who elicited the "It's Austin" remark.
Oh, wow.
Back in 2011. It was in response to UTX about Terrell Austin that led to "It's Austin," which led to, that being on a t-shirt. He compared him to Quentin Jammer.
Wow.
And I had not thought about that at all. But as soon as he said it, I was like, that's a great comparison. It really is. They are very similar. And if you watch, I think Kade Phillips might be better as a safety, but only because he's so physical and he goes downhill so well. I mean, he brings it, but he's uber athletic. He can absolutely play corner. He reminds me a little bit. I think he might be a slightly better version of Kobe Black. So, I mean, I think he's really, really good. It was a really big development, but let's not lose sight of the fact, Justice Terry, Michael Fasusi. With Justice Terry, nobody nationally is really talking about Texas. It's Georgia, Georgia, Georgia. And look, maybe the Vegas play, maybe Vegas would handicap this as Georgia is the favorite.
And Georgia would be the home state, correct? It's a Georgia
Correct.
kid. Right.
Correct. But as of earlier today, I was told Texas feels good. Now, what does that mean? We'll see. My sourcing is being very careful to not make huge proclamations. But I put a lot of weight in what their thoughts are. And if somebody says, like it's one of those guys that never talks, but when they say 2 words, you go, oh,
yeah,
Bill spoke. And it just says a lot. It's kind of how I feel about this. They are working Justice Terry. They are working Michael Fasusi. I told you last week when all of the Fasusi, when he left the Texas game and was still going to go to the A&M game, and there was the talk, OU beats Alabama, and maybe that solidified OU's position. And I said last week on this show, hey, man, I talked to the Wolf, and the Wolf's making no concessions. So I don't know what that means, but I provided every opportunity to multiple sources to say, I guess that Michael Fasusi thing is not going to happen. Oh, well. And not an inch has been given on that front. Jason Sukumel talked to a source yesterday, very close to the recruitment, called it 50-50. I think it is between Texas and Oklahoma. I think Texas A&M's consolation prize, if you can even call it that, they get Lamont Rogers today. That's a huge pickup. But Lamont Rogers wasn't going to go to the same school as Michael Fasusi, so I think, A&M getting that commitment works out great for A&M, and now it's Texas and OU for Fasusi. And everything online, to me, says, well, he's going to stick with OU. If you just look at, I think, what we and the public knows. But I'm telling you, man, my sourcing hasn't given an inch to me. I even asked earlier in the week, what's the holdup with Fasusi? Like, what's the biggest hurdle? Kind of thinking that the mom or the dad, you know what I mean? Like there are discussion points out there. The mom favors Oklahoma. It's like, man, you better be able to win the mom over if you're going to make that happen. But they know that. They haven't given me any information. The silence on the details indicates to me they think they're close. They think they're close, and they're not going to do anything to mess it up. They're not even going to tell me you've got to win them all. No. About the most I'm going to get is we feel good. Other than that, I can't get a lot out right now. What I do know, though, Chad, is this. Joseph Mbachu, a guy that we talked about yesterday, a guy that decommits from Texas to Florida 1 week after he commits to Texas over Florida. And what did we talk about on yesterday's show? And I think this is so critically important. I want everybody right now watching to know. No one else in the country is going to be this honest with you about the real thing that's happening in recruiting right now. It's not being talked about enough. You know how I know that? Because I'm having to properly set the story on Orange Bloods and here on this show. The next 24 hours across the country are going to be crazy. Everybody has money. Everybody has millions. And I was told from a source yesterday that Florida came in with like silly Mother Goose money. Joseph Mbachu.
Did Mother Goose have a lot of money? Was she packing?
Kept it in her shoe.
Oh, because then when she knew what to do, I'm with you. Go ahead.
Every once in a while, you stick the landing, unlike when you have the YouTube open as you start the show. Mbachu's getting – Florida's got money. Everybody's got money. Florida has decided we're going to go get our guys in recruiting. We got to do everything we can to make sure that Billy Napier is not a sunken investment. Texas, I think, this is my interpretation. I have not been specifically told this in so many words, but we talked about this on the show yesterday. I think they'd look back at the defensive tackle market in the portal and say, God, you know what? If guys are going to be asking for high six figures or $1 million and they're just pretty good, maybe we should just go give the 7 figures to the guy that's actually really, really good. And oh, by the way, Walter Nolan has been great this season. He's done everything that Ole Miss would have wanted him to do and everything that he'll need to do to be a first or second round pick, probably a first round pick. They got what they wanted. That was wise money that was spent. Ole Miss, if they don't make the playoffs, it won't be because Walter Nolan and the investment that went there didn't go right. I think Texas is looking at the recruiting thing. And back in the summer, we would have said, you know what? There's a limit that Texas doesn't want to go. And that has traditionally been true. I think Texas senses in the moment, right here and right now, and I'll stop talking after this, Chad, but I think the sense I have behind the scenes is that Texas feels like this is a rare moment in history. They're number 2 in the country. They're riding this high of going to the SEC championship game in year 1. They're kind of an it school. I think they've realized we need to go spend money on the 5 stars. And so that's super expensive. That means that Texas, to get Michael Fasusi and to get Justice Terry, they will have to go 7 figures. They will not. Everything will change. All the stuff that we've talked about where you're resetting the limits of what guys can earn. And if you're going to pay that guy this and another guy's going to want this, they know it. They get it. They've decided we're going to do it. There's no way you go get Justice Terry and Michael Fasusi without whipping it out on the table. And I mean the wallet. You whip the wallet out. You deal with the consequences later. Additionally, I got an email, a text message. When did that come in? Hold on. Came in the 11 o'clock hour, 11:06, from a source of mine that I had drinks with 8 days ago.
Mm-hmm.
Quote, this is a guy that is a significant financial donor in the NIL world and just fundraising in general.
Mm-hmm.
That Texas keeps him on speed dial.
Right.
Unsolicited. I did not reach out to him.
Okay.
He sent me a text message at 11:06. Quote, some aggressive fundraising going on to pay for NIL. And I was just like, I was just wondering where it's all coming from. And I'm not telling you they're going to get all of these guys. I'm telling you they're going for it. They're going for it in a way that if you've ever been a Texas fan and thought to yourself, go be Texas. Why be the richest school in America and not act like it? Why can't Texas, be the leader in all of this? It remains to be seen whether or not they can take Justice Terry from Georgia. It remains to be seen whether they can make Michael Fasusi give up a school that he loves in Oklahoma. But Texas is going for it. They're not going half speed. They're not going 3/4 speed. They are going full speed. And I sense some real quiet confidence behind the scenes. So much so that Adam Gorney put out an article today talking about Justice Terry. There was no mention of Texas at all. And I sent him a note and I was like, hey man, Texas and Justice Terry. I told him, I am not telling you that Texas is going to get Justice Terry. What I am telling you is they think they are in it. And I think they're ready to go big in order to make that happen.
All right, we do have a super chat. If you want to add on to it, we will definitely get to those. There's a question also in there I want Catch to get to. I've come up with questions while Catch was talking. We'll get to it. Over 1,000 of you in the Specs chat. Before we forget to do it, let's give Specs a little bit of love here.
Specs same-day delivery can save the day with our Specs app or online shopping. From world-class wines to hard-to-find spirits and craft beers to gourmet foods, delicious snacks, and spectacular sweets. It's Specs. Cheers to savings.
Going to need to be stocked up. Texas and Georgia, 3 o'clock kick on Saturday, followed by a couple other of the Power 4 championships. Big Ten and ACC go that night, and the Big 12 game is an 11 o'clock kick. If you just want to sit there in front of the TV, come see us at TCH Social Austin if you want to come watch Texas and Georgia with us. We'll get you more on that coming up. Right now, Catch, how about the first super chat? James, what's up? What's the reasoning for Phillips ranking discrepancies? Also love the Oceans reference. Catch, that was a good reference. Why the Jason Sukumel was talking about this earlier today on the Modcast. You just talked about it. Why the differences you think with Phillips?
I think I can probably do this in like 30 seconds. You watched his junior film and it wasn't spectacular, but his testing and his athletic measurables and his track stuff screamed elite. But I don't think you quite saw it on the film. And I think there was some is he a corner? I think there was a sense that he was a tweener as a corner and a safety. Goes into his senior year and he was just incredible. He posted very early this season on his Instagram page one of a highlight, an early season highlight. And I remember thinking to myself, holy shit. It was like an epiphany moment where I was like, oh, that's who he is now. So I think all of the services are reacting to, he's always been rated pretty highly by some because of the athletic measurables. His senior play, out of this world good. And I think the services now are responding to the postseason play. And I would even on Rivals, I think Rivals has him ranked the lowest right now. He's a mid 4-star, 142 in the country, I think. Don't hold me to that, but it's ballpark. I think the final rankings will come out in January. There'll be all-star postseason games. Senior seasons will have fully been evaluated. I think you'll see him as a national top 75 guy. Will Rivals rank him as a super blue chip? I don't know, but multiple services already do. And as you guys know, I'm about the data points more so than I am about, hey, Rivals is the best and they do the best job. I think they do an excellent job, but they are a data point like the others are a data point. So, he's really, really talented. When I do my next Lone Star Recruiting Top 100 list, he will be in the top 10.
James, thank you for that super chat. All right, Catch. If the donors are willing to go high, you know the fans want to as well. So let's just throw it out there. If they got Fasusi and they got Terry, is that enough to do it? Is that enough to get to number one?
No, but if they got Terry and Terry, two Terrys,
Get Justice and Michael,
Fasusi, and let's say Nate Marshall, that could be enough.
that could be the one. Okay.
I've never completely understood the Rivals point system. So it's not like I can just look at it and go 10 plus 10 plus 10 is 30. I don't know. Like I don't know how I know how it works, but I don't have a spreadsheet or anything in place that would allow me to add it all up. But yeah, think about it like this. The 3 stars that are in this class would get removed from the algorithm and they would be replaced by 5 stars. So the thing in the current recruiting class that weighs it down a little gets removed and it gets replaced by the highest point getters possible. So you start talking about, and that would be 3 Rivals 5 stars. Terry's not a 5-star for Rivals, but he is a super blue chip. It'd be a monumental points hike. So it'd be close. I think if you do that in your Texas, it's the best recruiting class since 2002. And the thing about 2002, which was the Vince Young recruiting class, I think they signed 8 5-stars. What you got to remember is Rivals was basically the only game in town back then. And they used to give out around 45 5-stars a year. Like everybody got a 5-star back in the day. So the numbers are a little wonky when you say Texas had 8 5-stars. And about half of those guys never either made it to campus or they flamed out quickly, right? You had Marquise Johnson, the 5-star wide receiver from Illinois, didn't make it to campus. Adoree McCulloch didn't last a year. There were Brian Pickrell gets a back injury that guy was going to be a first-round draft pick and then had to retire from football. Suddenly you blink and you're like, oh, well, half of those 5-stars just weren't even there, although Vince Young, Justin Blaylock, Roderick Wright, they did get production from that group, in case any of you were wondering. It did a national championship when it was all said and done. It would be the best recruiting class since that group. And given the circumstances that I just outlined, you might, if you took the Vince Young part away and then just looked at everything else, I think this would even be a better recruiting class in 2002. But that's a lot that has to happen.
That is true. All right, we'll get a couple other super chats here. First off, Catch, did you know there were super stickers? Is this a real thing? A 99-cent super sticker? A sparkling diamond?
I've seen that before.
What is this? Like the chatters can be like teachers back in the day and put a sticker on our work?
Exactly.
That's exciting. All right. Thank you, DNL, PR Dental Pearls. Thank you very much for that. Also, a couple other super chats. Jay jumps in with a 5 spot. Catch, you should have seen Chad's face last show when Anwar spent 5 minutes saying how unimpressed he was with Kyle Fields' atmosphere. I felt bad for Chad, LOL. Jay, it is tough to hear somebody talk about your baby, but it was what it was. It was tough.
But, and I said this yesterday, Jay, I honestly, what were the Aggies supposed to do? Pretend they weren't getting their ass kicked?
Yeah. No, and that was my response to Anwar, Catch. It was that Texas was a big part of it. I wish Anwar could have come out of there feeling what it's like when the Aggies are in a game.
Yeah.
Talk to anybody that cares about Kyle Field and says, oh my God, it's a great atmosphere. When Brian Jones told us it's the loudest place he's ever played, guess what happened in that game? The Aggies won. They scored enough to win. And that's just not what was going on last
Saturday. There will be a lot of people who went to that game on the Texas side for the first time that will have left thinking,
yeah,
what's the big deal? This
that's
was easy.
When Gunnar Helm threw that thing out on social media, everybody loved from the Texas side about that's what you call your loud. And all I would say to him is 85, that's what y'all did to him. That's what you did. There's no atmosphere on earth. We talked about it. There's no atmosphere on earth that's going to be badass if you're beating them.
Yeah.
It just doesn't exist. You know what the Bills and Chiefs Stadium sounds like when they're getting beat? Not
rabble,
much.
rabble, murmur, murmur.
Yeah, they're
you know?
murmuring. They're murmuring and saying, "Damn, it's cold out here when we're losing." That's what they're doing. One other super chat in right now is from Juan with a $4.99. Catch, is Matthew McConaughey a donor with money? Who's Texas's sugar daddies? It's a good try, Juan. I don't know if you're going to get any names out of the man, but
One, no, McConaughey is not. Two, those names aren't out there. You know, back in the day when Tom Hicks was largely responsible for pulling Mack Brown into the fray, more so historically, history will remember Tom Hicks as much as they'll remember DeLoss Dodds when it comes to the hire of Mack Brown. I think the donors, like the big sugar daddies, it just isn't out there. Do I know their names? Yes. But I don't want to be the one that puts that. It's a little icky where it's like, oh, I'm just going to tell everybody. If it's not out there, then that means they haven't wanted it out there. Because if they wanted it out there for clout, they could. I think that's maybe the most interesting thing about the guys that have the real small circle of the heaviest hitters for Texas NIL are not doing this for public clout. Right? It's not like I'm walking into DKR and I want everybody to know I did this or I was a big part of this. Because we know that about Nebraska. We know that about a number of places where it's like Michigan, where it's like a guy stepped up. These guys have not wanted their names out there, but they've been doing the work. Yeah. One day that stuff will probably get out there, but I probably won't be the first one to say it.
Yeah, and by the way, and I see another super chat just came in. I also see the one about A&M recruiting. I'll get Catch to deal with that. Catch, just real quick question, as long as somebody was mentioning the donors. You and I have been talking about this a long time. Just feels like a crossroads day to ask. But we've been talking about the system that's in place, and you just kind of referenced it a little bit there, that Texas has a rep for what people think they have behind the scenes, and then maybe there's a reality of what's actually there. From what you're hearing from these sources, do you think this is just about a momentary push in this class, Fasusi, Terry, whoever, or do you feel like you're starting to hear about a structural change that will be sustainable moving forward and make Texas, like we've been talking about?
There's a couple of ways. I suppose the first thing we have to do is start with the fact that everything changes when the athletic department is now able to contribute upwards of $20 million towards the process. That would have paid for everything that was done on the football side in recruiting and retention. Like that money suddenly does a huge amount of lifting. Now, NIL doesn't die. So Texas One Fund, all of the things that Texas has built. So as the years have gone by, Texas has slowly but surely, and maybe that's not even fair. It's only been a couple of years. What the hell is slowly but surely? They've just figured out, okay, these are how we get our corporate partners involved. And this is how we should be going after money. And while they don't have the volume of donors that they want, Matthew McConaughey's not involved. No, like they need more money, but they've got a process in place that they can slap on top of the $20 million that the school can outright pay. And I think it leaves them in a position where they're like, look, almost everything is taken care of. If we can go get some 5 stars, can we do that? And with not having the responsibility of covering everything, yes. So it's all happening in real time in such a way that I think everything's still evolving.
Right. But
because I think if they don't get these guys, Chad, if they don't get these guys, Fasusi and Justice Terry, they're going to go after some Moby Dicks in the portal. And they may do that anyway, but I think there's a real freedom that exists now. What they don't have to do now is go, oh man, Trey Wisner just had a big season and now we got to give him more money. But, we're already giving so much. And now what do we got to give him? Like $500,000? He's only making like 150. And then that 350, you're talking about 85 guys in a program. It just stacks up. This year it stacked up to just north of $20 million. And the weight on the shoulders of these few people is significant. But now all of that is gone. And I think now they can focus on some real isolated, who are the war daddies? Mm-hmm. And let that be where the real contributions come from. Don't ask us how Trevor Gooseby gets a bump up in NIL if he's your starting left tackle. That I get the feeling that they may be out of the who are your sophomores and juniors that need more money, because the school can work on that.
Right.
I think they're in the business of how do we get some Justice Terry's and Michael Fasusi's on campus. So
talent acquisition, not talent as it's going through.
And I don't know what that's going to cost, but
right.
It's way more than I think anything Texas will have ever committed in NIL. And what's ironic is the thing that we talked about in August with Fasusi is like, well, Texas may not want to spend this on an offensive lineman. Well, they went through the season and like, well, we're probably going to lose our 2 starters. You know what? We will do that for an offensive lineman. And I think they might money whip Oklahoma. But the other thing is, Oklahoma now is just like Texas. They're flush with some of the same cash flow. Their athletic department is going to be $20 million in play, so they'll up their levels as well. We've never seen this. Will never happen again, where every major college team in the country outside of an Ohio State and a Texas and maybe like a Georgia, those schools spent $20 million this year. This year, a lot of those other schools were in the single digits. A lot of them. I'm not even talking about the Indianas of the world, right? Notre Dame was probably between maybe 10 and 15, but so now all those schools have at least 20 million to deal with because, like Texas, their athletic departments will be able to funnel that money in. This will be the wildest stretch of hours in the history of college football. Be prepared for anything. Yeah. Be prepared for any player. When I tell you that Mbachu is getting like closer to $1 million a year than he's not close to getting that much money, he's a good prospect. He's not a super blue chip. He's not Justice Terry. So the money that will be spent, and not by Texas, not just the Baylors of the world, everybody has money. And I think we could see some wild stuff going on because below the line of what we're talking about with Texas and Georgia and the big dogs, you've got programs like Baylor and TCU and Texas Tech and, the kind of those second tier programs in major. They have money to spend. They won't likely be going and getting Michael Fasusi with it, but they might start going to some state top 50 guys that are committed, maybe even to a school like Texas. And they may say, hey, you want to take our $1 million? And I don't think what Texas won't do is overspend on good. They won't. They will. It's what happened with Mbachu. At some point, Texas was like, man, we are not spending old 5-star money for low 4-star prospects. But what will they do for 5-star prospects? We're going to find out, because even if Oklahoma keeps Fasusi, and even if that kid, Justice Terry, goes to Georgia, we will hear from both the Oklahoma side and the Georgia side the alleged NIL money in play. If they keep, and if they lose them, we'll definitely hear. So one way or the number, those amounts are going to come out. And I think they'll come out in the next 24, 48 hours. I'm fascinated to see what those numbers look like. Yeah. So here we are. Let's have some fun, man. I'm telling you, I don't know that I'm going to sleep tonight. And I'm checking my text messages every 5 seconds.
Yeah, the super chats are in there. We will get to them. We had somebody with a super chat about TCH Social. We do need to get to that and clarify something. Also, we'll be thanking our great partners around here. Let's hit you with that AV consultation spot. If you're watching Texas, Georgia this weekend at your place, here's some of the stuff they can do for you.
Owner of Audiovisual Consultations and all of us at Audiovisual would like to wish you and your family a happy holiday season. This time of year can get a little hectic, so we want to remind you to relax, enjoy the season with your family and friends, and give us a call at 512-255-8678 for all of your home entertainment needs. This is my favorite time of the year. I love the holidays, the music, the decorations, the presents, the whole darn thing. So this year I'm asking all you listeners to help make this a special holiday for everyone. Smiles are contagious and free, so let's give them away like the government gives away your money. Let's high-five strangers on the street. Hold the door for people behind us. Tip your servers more than they've ever been tipped before. Give to a charity, or hell, give to a bunch of charities. If someone does a good job, tell them they did a good job. Pat someone on the butt. Sing in public places just because it feels good. And as always, hug your kids until they beg you to stop. Watch some games with your friends and make love to your wife or your husband. I know there's some women listening too. You can still give us a call at 512-255-8678 if you'd like to get some cool electronics, but more importantly, have a great holiday season and a friggin' awesome next year.
All right, shout out to AV Consultations. That's if you need a little bit better setup at your place. If you want to come hang with us for Texas and Georgia, we did get this in from Buck Wild, $10. Sorry for the interruption. I went to TCH Social yesterday. Great place, by the way. And they told me there wasn't an Orange Bloods promotion. Did I miss it, or is it only on Saturdays? Buck Wild, 1 hour before kick until 1 hour after the game is over. That's when those drink specials are active.
But I can appreciate showing up on a Monday and being like, right, I'll have 5 of those dollar drafts, please.
That was the attempt. Buck Wild, hey, good try. Good try. But that is why it did not work for you. So remember, when you come out, when we flash this up, $1 draft, $2 jellyfish, that special hits this week at 2 p.m. and goes through 1 hour after the game is over. So come on out and see us. That means Buck Wild saw this big screen yesterday, maybe had the bad beat bacon. Who knows? Come on out, check out the game with us, have the bad beat bacon. It is a good time out at
Did you hear about Sukumel's bad beat bacon story from Saturday?
I know. I've not heard the story. I heard him say he might have 2 orders of it.
Well, his daughter showed up. And by the way, if you're wondering, can I bring my kids? There were probably 10 underage kids Saturday. Yes. Yep. It's sports. They can't go to the poker side.
Right.
They don't get to gamble, but they get to go sit on the sports bar restaurant side. Mm-hmm. So Sukumel's daughter shows up and Jason's like, you got to get some of the bad beat bacon. You got to get the bacon. You got to get the bacon. You got to get the bacon. And she was like, oh, I just came from, I think she was like a Texas Roadhouse or something like that. And she was like, I'm kind of full. Like, I don't even know that I want anything. And Jason's like, you need to have the bad beat bacon. They order the bad beat bacon. And she's still saying, I'm not real hungry. And then the words, I don't even really like bacon, come out of her mouth. Yeah. At which point Jason's like, well, look, let's be honest. I'll probably eat all of the bacon anyway. Certainly if you don't want it. Bacon comes out. Guess who ate the bacon?
Yeah, the kid did.
The kid did. Yeah. The kid went from, I'm full. I was just at Texas Roadhouse, or where it was like if it wasn't Roadhouse, it was like a similar establishment, right? It was one of those.
Right.
I was like, oh, it might have even been like Longhorn Steakhouse or something. It was one of those types. She was like, I don't even know if I like bacon. And then it was nom, 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 nom.
Yeah. She was like that woman in the Whataburger commercial that was going to take one bite of his patty melt and then ate the whole damn patty melt. Like that was her.
So when we tell you that the bad beat bacon is really good, you need to know that women who don't like bacon are eating the hell out of it when they get it.
Yeah, it is silly. My favorite catch was that our most consistent fan to come out has been ATX Bates. He's been at every one of those watch parties. I heard you say his name in the post this last week, and he thought we were overselling it and didn't get it for the first 4 weeks he went. And then he said, okay, all right, bring me some of the bacon. And he said he took one bite and realized we had not been lying.
I think he had 2 orders on Saturday.
There you go. He's making up for it.
He was there, though, a long time. It wasn't like he had 2,
right?
Even during one game. We were there for a while.
Exactly. Shout out to ATX Bates. And speak of the devil, ATX Bates, $5 is the on-the-field success from the last 2 seasons, finally motivating the Texas big money donors to pony up. Oh, I like the pony up reference for history fans. Catch, this is what we've been talking about, not only just sort of what Texas is supposed to be, but what they are actually doing on the field. We've been waiting for this effect. Do you think that's part of it as well? The fact that, my God, they're back into this situation to try to go back-to-back conference championships?
Not yet.
Okay. Damn.
But I don't feel, in the past, there was an urgency of, come on.
Yeah.
But knowing that starting in the fall of next year, that the school will have such a heavy, piece of this, $20 million.
Yeah.
And look, that number probably changes soon. It won't be long before, I'm telling you, in 2 years, there will be schools that are $50, $60 million of NIL money in football per year.
Mm-hmm.
But for right now, that 20 just does a ton of lifting. And yeah, I think that's what they want. But
yeah,
what's happening right now has nothing to do with more big money donors ponying up. Unless, like I said, I got a note at an hour and a half ago from someone who is involved and was told that there's a really, what was the words? Aggressive? Hold on. Let me just
Relative.
see. Words
Relative
matter.
aggressive.
Words matter, right? I don't want to be not using the correct words.
Relatively aggressive.
Some aggressive fundraising going on to pay for NIL.
Physical.
What does that mean? I don't know, but it's aggressive.
Okay. Aggressive. So all I'm saying, Catch, is if the Aggies had made 2 straight conference championship games, the donors would pile $10 million right in front of the 12th man statue with a note that said, here you go.
I wonder how long Texas affluent alums in overwhelmingly large numbers have viewed NIL with gigantic disdain.
Mm-hmm.
They're okay with the sport being a $1 billion entity, but they are not okay with the players getting any of the pie. That was the response in 2021. In 2024, I think what Texas is hoping is that, these affluent alums come to realize, man, you either stop watching the sport and go find another hobby, or you get in the game. Like, this is the game.
Yeah. Others are letting their guys eat pie. Would you like to let your guys eat some pie too?
And they're going to go to these guys and say, do you like this? Are you enjoying this? How's the dopamine hit on Saturdays when you beat A&M and Oklahoma and Arkansas and Michigan and you're in first place in the SEC? Do you like that? Do you get your jollies off? Do you enjoy on Saturday at any point during any of that? Do you stop cheering and go, you know what, this just isn't as much fun as it was when the players weren't getting anything? No, that dopamine hits. And I think what they're going to do with a number of affluent alums who've been very hesitant on this front is to go, man, if you've been enjoying the fruit of my work, and I don't think this is going to come from the athletic department. I think, if nothing else, the guys that have been putting the money in to cover NIL through the first few years, these guys deserve statues. Seriously. They're every bit as responsible as Steve Sarkisian, because Sarkisian doesn't have the roster without the NIL support that he's had. I mean, anything that he's asked for, they've found a way to get him. And I think those guys, if it was me, I'd be walking around in the suites going, hey, man, get your ass in the game. 2 years ago, you were telling me, oh, I don't know how I feel about – I'm watching you cheer.
Yeah.
I know how you feel about us being number 2 in the country. So
are you not entertained?
I think that that's a stage where we're at. There's just no evidence yet that more is coming in, that people have finally said, you know what? You guys were right. Here's my money. Here's my portfolio. Take my cash.
Damn.
But I think they hoped that that's what last year would create, Chad, and it didn't.
I know. Yeah, you would think.
So
I thought it would.
2 years in a row because if that ruling hadn't come out where the schools could pay $20 million a year right now, I think the storyline would be Texas doesn't have it.
Yeah.
But the dynamics changed. They do have it. Now, if they get a little bit more help, they can have it all.
Yeah. All right. We have a super chat here, and then I want to let you tell the folks about Rogue Shop because Rogue Shop still needs your vote. We'll get to that. But Catch, back to this is our sticker person now with a super chat. $4.99 from DNL. How is Texas A&M still doing so well in recruiting?
I mean, because they got a bunch of money too. Texas is not every school, whatever A&M's budget was this year, let's say it was $15 million. I don't know. I don't know what their number is. So I'm just throwing a number out there. That feels probably ballpark, right? Next year, the school is they get to take care of the $20 million off the top. So now A&M gets to do the same thing Texas is doing in a lot of ways. They get to kind of splash some cash. And, I think they probably paid half the national debt to get Lamont Rogers over from Missouri because we know Missouri will spend the money.
Yeah. Isn't Missouri all of a sudden in a discussion for Javion Hilson? Did I read that right?
Yes, Chad, when I tell you that everybody has money, I mean everybody has money.
Yeah.
SMU's got $20 million to spend. Now, SMU's not in for the Justice Terrys and the Michael, but they still have to spend the money.
Right.
And you can do all of your roster retention, and you might go, oh, man, we've only spent $15 million. You know what my answer to that would be? We better spend the extra $5 million and make our team better. If you can't even have a serious conversation with your own fan base moving forward if you haven't maximized. Because if I'm a donor, if I'm in the foundation, I'm like, why do we have to have 600 university athletic employees if we're not spending the full 20? It's like, whoa. Why are we sending the women's basketball team to Japan? Like, give that to a left tackle. Like, that's the way people will be thinking. So, and where this might be different is I wonder how Kansas or Kentucky divvy up the $20 million per athletic department that they can spend. It will be different in some places. A school like Connecticut, they might spend like $5 million a year on women's basketball. It will not be parallel bars all over the nation, but the amount from a minimum to be in the club, this is what it's going to take. And if you're Rice or you're one of these schools, it's like Division I. They're major college football, but they're not in a major college. If you can't do that, like, you're in the wrong sport. And it's sad to say, right? But I don't lose that much sleep about it. Like, it's only so sad that a school like Rice might not have a place at the table, but that's the world that we live in. And I'll tell you what, Rice having a seat at the table isn't so valuable that it should mean guys can't get paid. It's like, if it's kids either get paid or they don't. And the negative is, well, the Rices of the world, what are we going to do about them? When have we ever cared about them?
Yeah,
so
all right, Kat, speaking of getting paid, our man Ryan at TCH Social has an offer for you. $1.99 super chat. Jeff Chad, if you can accurately predict each flip we get and lose between now and tomorrow, I'll tip you $1K at the watch party Saturday.
I mean, I'm going to go for it.
Sure. Give it a shot.
But Ryan, by the way, Ryan, I want you to know, as you're watching right now, my plan on Saturday night, you're going to appreciate this. Because Ryan's a big Arsenal fan.
Mm-hmm.
So he gets to watch the Arsenal games on the big screen.
Right.
It could be 6:30 in the morning, but he's there watching the Arsenal games on the Monster. So Liverpool and Man City played on Sunday. And for me, it was like the biggest game of the year. I got a hotel room rather than going home right away. The plan was to just go to the Card House Social on Sunday morning and sit and watch the Liverpool Man City game by myself.
Right.
In front of that monster TV.
Mm-hmm.
But then my wife was like, you need to get your ass home because I'm sick. And I didn't get to do that. But Ryan, I literally scheduled my plans around being able to watch Liverpool at Card House Social. All right, let's do it.
Here we go.
Man, he wants flip. Each flip we get and lose. Well,
yeah. So
the offensive lineman happened yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
So fuck it. I'm going to say Texas gets Fasusi and Terry. Although technically, one of those isn't technically a flip. Let me just stick with Fasusi. Okay.
Okay. Fasusi would definitely be
technically, Justice Terry is not committed anywhere. So he wouldn't be a flip. And Michael Terry's not a flip. And I lost. Kade Phillips already flipped.
Mm-hmm. He did add that word. So yes, you're going through the technicality of it.
Man, so yesterday I asked a source about Nate Marshall, the 5-star defensive end who's committed to Auburn.
Mm-hmm.
I asked about him and was told no, like I wasn't given a huge vote of confidence. It wasn't like a negative, but this person was like, look, these are the big three. Justice Terry, Fasusi, and Kade Phillips. But we're still hearing that Nate Marshall's team, his support system, is all for Texas. Thinks that that's what he needs to do. That's where he needs to go. If they have any influence at all, Texas has that in their hip pocket. So I'll go Nate Marshall flips to Texas. I'm trying to think, there's some talk, and I've literally been talking to a source of mine while we've been on the show about Michael Terry. There are rumors today that Oregon is coming out and throwing DeCorian more money. These aren't my words. This is just what I'm hearing, and mostly from Orange Bloods posters, if I'm being completely honest. I asked a source of mine about Michael Terry earlier today, literally like 15 minutes ago. And I was like, hey, man, what's up with Oregon? And I can't tell you exactly what this response was because it would kind of give away who he is, and I don't want to do that. But he was basically saying, no, they're just one of the hats on the table. And I was like, I don't know, man. That's not what I'm hearing. I'm hearing that Oregon may have come out and done some stupid NIL stuff. And he was like, oh. So he's like, I'll have to check. He didn't know. So if Oregon has done this, it's very late in the game. I think he's been down to Texas and Nebraska, and let's just be honest, he's been planning on going to Texas for months. But Does Oregon coming in? Let's say Oregon comes in and offers $1.2 million, 1.3, 1.4, 1.5. I don't, whatever DeCorian Moore money is. I know Texas was in it for DeCorian Moore for 1.2. And then whatever the number is, Oregon allegedly surpassed it. If they Oregon's got all this money too, and it's not Phil Knight money. This is, we got $20 million to spend. So if they've decided, you know what we need? We need someone just like Michael Terry. I don't know what a crazy price is anymore, because you know what it feels like? And this is the most 1980s out-of-date pop culture reference that I can make. But this feels very much like Brewster's Millions, except instead of one guy, there's 100 guys. And if you never saw that movie, Richard Pryor finds out he has an old white relative who was like a bazillionaire, and he's trying to figure out what to do with his money. And in order for Richard Pryor to get the $300 million, he has to spend $30 million in a month, and he can't have anything to show for it. Like, he has to spend it, but not own any possessions of value from that 30. And it's just driving him crazy, but he has to spend it. I just kind of feel that way about everybody right now. Everybody. And everybody's got to figure out, if you're Baylor, and you feel like, man, you know, we need a quarterback. We have to have a quarterback. And it's like, well, who do we like the most? And it's like, well, we like that guy, but we love KJ Lacey, but like, he's going to Texas. You start working your way down the list. And I don't know, maybe for Baylor, it's their 8th option. And it's like, well, our 8th option is committed to SMU. Man, if you think the 8th option who's committed to SMU, but is a guy that might make the difference between winning a Big 12 championship or not, what is that guy worth?
Yeah.
So if Baylor were to just approach some regular old 4-star guy, but a guy they think changes their program because they're not getting prospects quite like that, why wouldn't you offer a couple of $1 million? If you were, let's say you're Louisiana Monroe, and technically you've got $20 million to spend. Why wouldn't you just call Arch Manning, if Arch were a recruit this year, and just say, I'll give it all to you. All of our $20 million for you. Is that a crazy spend? Yeah.
If only ULM actually had 20 million moving forward.
But the point is, everybody's going to be able to do with their money different things.
Yes, true.
And if we heard Nebraska, here's the better one. What if Nebraska went to Arch? If Arch were in, or Bryce Underwood, right? Michigan is allegedly giving Bryce Underwood $12 million over 3 years. What if Nebraska was like, now they've got Dylan Raiola, so they don't need to do this, but I think we all have a picture of what Nebraska is and how desperate they are. What if Nebraska said, well, we'll give you $10 million a year. Come be our quarterback. It's going to happen. It's just a matter of time before TCU just offered the number 1 quarterback, DJ Lagway. TCU has offered DJ Lagway $10 million. And, you know, does that change the dynamics in play in terms of the relationship with fans? And is it a little bit like pro football? Well, yeah. But college football has been a little bit like pro football for a long time. It's just that the ones that were getting paid weren't the actual players, but now they are. And, you know, I think everybody, what they got to do with their brain is everything that you've known before, you have to forget. What is in 2024 was not what was in 2023, and it won't be what is in 2025. You literally have to change your notions of what's conventional, because that's what Texas is doing right now. Texas is like, okay, look, Joseph I told someone earlier today, I was like, man, I think Mbachu got high 6 figures. And his response was like, that's batshit crazy. And I was like, is it though? I mean, It would be for Texas.
Right.
But if you're not at the top end of the food chain, maybe you're judged differently than the top end of the food chain. And so, and what Texas is doing is going, well, look, if that's what it's going to cost, if that is the new price of doing business, then let's go do our business with the elite of the elite. If we're going to spend money, let's spend it on the right guys. And that has led us to this point where 24 hours before signing day, watch out for Justice Terry and Michael Fasusi and Nate Marshall and Michael Terry. I think Texas views Kade Phillips as a 5-star. He will be a top 10 player in a super blue chip in my rankings when I update them. They are only Moby Dick shopping. Yeah. They are not trying to catch a 25-pound bass. They are shopping for Moby Dicks.
All right, Catch, before we get back to Super Chats, Ryan has a bit of a bone to pick. I can't believe you called me an Arsenal fan. Do you want to get it correct before I put it on the screen? It's not Arsenal.
Is he a Chelsea fan?
There you go. Come on. If we're going to get it right, soccer guy, let's get it right.
I don't know why I thought Arsenal.
He didn't either. He was like, whoa, he was chatting. Whoa, wait, hang on, stop. So,
maybe because I'm just thinking a lot about Arsenal these days.
They're on your mind, right?
Well, they are, but you know what? Chelsea is too.
Yeah.
I used to really hate Chelsea. I know, completely off topic, but you opened the door for me. Maybe I subconsciously said it wrong so that it would get corrected, and it offers me the opportunity to spend 10 seconds talking about it. Chelsea's a fun team to watch, Ryan. They're fun. And I used to I loathed Chelsea, but they got rid of their Russian gangster owner, and feelings have softened a smidge.
There you go. Catch, for the rest of the week, let's give Rogue their love because they're trying to get this prize, if you will. Let's remind everybody because the voting is still going on.
The voting is good till December 7th, I believe.
Yeah, here it says the 6th. That'd be this Friday.
Okay. Guys, either do this just to be a nice person and help because one of our own is trying to win this contest. Rogue is up for the best in Chippewa Valley, and they really want this. Scan that QR code, go vote. When you're done, if either vote because you're a nice person or vote because you want to get 30% off. Once you voted, contact our guy Richard over at Rogue, and you either reach him or his wife, sales@rogueshop.com. You can see the email address there, or just reach out to him with a PM on Orange Bloods. He'll give you the code, 30% off, depending on how big your order is. That's what, $50, $100, like whatever it is that you want to spend. 30% off is like real cash. Make it happen. We don't just like Rogue Shop. We love them. They're one of our favorite partners. They're among our favorite people. Help them out. Get in a game. Scan that QR code and vote. Don't be a dick.
That was like a Mack Brown. Don't just like him, we love him. Not a good player, great player. All right.
Don't be a dick.
Don't be a dick.
I would have loved Mac if every once in a while he'd have just been like, Jeff Ketchum, you're such a dick. I wish he would have allowed himself.
Yeah. I would
wiggle room.
I wish we could, hanging with Mac when he's sipping whatever he sips to calm down and just relax, whatever that is, right? Is he a whiskey guy? Does he drink? But whatever it was, God, I would love to be around for some of that. Just, there'd be swearing going on.
Mac was a really funny, I don't give a shit kind of person. If you could get him away from the cameras and he knew whatever I say isn't going to end up on a message board or out, like he was some biting humor. Sad that we didn't ever get to, it would change who we think Mack Brown is. I just think personally, I liked blue language Mac a little more than I like I'm talking to the moms Mac.
That would have been a great symposium. Blue Mac. Instead of the Housewives version, everybody's invited knowing Mac's going to just go off. Like, that'd be great.
I would love to have a camera back, a live feed of Mack just on Orange Bloods. God damn that, Jeff Ketchum. Steve Edmond does not have a wallet that says bad MF on it. Somebody call the high school and let them know that he can't walk around with that wallet. I'm going to fire anybody that talks to Orange Bloods. Hey, coach, can you call Orange Bloods?
Somebody inspect that wallet.
I
All
don't
right.
say who the coach is because I don't want to get anybody in trouble. But we did have a coach once that told us that there had been an office meeting to start the morning where Mack told the members of the staff that if he caught any of them talking to anybody at Orange Bloods, that he would fire them. And then the meeting ended and he pulled this specific coach around and said, can you call Jason Sukamel at Orange Bloods and tell him this?
Oh,
and it was like, wait, you just said it was like a trap. Wait, what? No, I'm not going to do that. You just told me not to.
Because then it's like the test, right? It's like the wife saying, of course you can go hang with the fellas. Okay, I think this is a test, right? I can't go hang with the fellas.
If I'm not mistaken, you know what it had to do with?
Spend more time.
Real quick. Because I love telling stories every once in a while. I believe, if I remember correctly, this was class of 2010. And at the time, Texas wasn't going to take any offensive linemen in this class. And Trey Hopkins was a guy that, like, Texas just wasn't going to take any offensive linemen. And they were trying to, like, let people know. Mack wanted to get the word out because there was a little heat. Like, why? Mack read everything on the internet. So if there was any criticism at all, he was sensitive to it. So he, I think, told somebody, hey, call Sukamel and let him know that we're not taking any offensive linemen. Like a month or two later, what ends up happening is that Trey Hopkins and Dominic Espinosa both basically came to Austin and begged in person for scholarships. And they were like, well, okay, if you're going to beg. they made Trey Hopkins beg, man.
Damn.
They made Trey Hopkins come down to Austin with no assurances of a scholarship, being told we don't plan on taking any offensive linemen. And they made that kid come down and basically say, please. And then when he did, they decided to finally offer the top guard prospect in Texas.
Yes. By the way, the chat wants to make sure you know that the prediction is that Marshall is going to end up at, where did Marshall?
Texas.
No,
Marshall.
No, hold on. Who is it?
I need to look at like the Texas guys. Because the thing is, I have to flip. Guess who flips to Texas?
Right. There's a big chat here that says Nate Marshall is gone. There's a prediction from like Wilt Fong or somebody that he's gone somewhere else.
Oh,
Michigan, I think. Michigan. That's it. Yeah.
Oh, well, then I lost $1,000.
Yeah.
And like I said yesterday, when I asked about Marshall,
there it is, right there.
Did that happen? Golly. Hey, I'm gonna find out right now. I think Michigan came in. Remember, who were the three guys that I said were the priority, Chad?
Fasusi, Terry.
No.
Fasusi, Terry.
Phillips.
And Phillips, I'm sorry, who just already flipped. Yeah.
I was I literally, because I had heard that his people were really pushing Texas. Michigan just might have come in. Like, what have I just been saying? These last 24 hours, anything goes. And it could be that Michigan came in and said, you know what? Half of what? I don't know, man. Half of whatever it needs to be. So, I mean, these things are happening. I got a message. Hold on. Okay. I said Michigan, and this national recruiting source just wrote, what the fuck? No one said anything. I am stunned.
Well, there you go. There it is. All right. So there we go. Thank you for all the action in the chat. And thank you.
I can't wait to hear what Michigan gave that kid.
Oh, man.
I think it's important to note, like, not getting that kid sucks because you'd like to get as much talent as you want. But they don't view his position as, because of what they have on campus, they just didn't view him as the priority as the other guys. So that in a way doesn't surprise me, because Texas is trying to raise some serious NIL money, but I don't think it's because they wanted to give him half the national debt.
Right. Not that particular position. All right. So here's a $20 super chat from Ben. Thank you, Ben. Great show, fellas. Catch your enthusiasm about this topic exudes through the screen. This insight about the new recruiting landscape, NIL strategy, and the operations behind it all is the best. And yeah, for anybody jumping in the chat and saying, wait a minute, they're just talking. They didn't actually talk about what they were. That's all we've been talking about, is the state of things in recruiting. And Ketch has been pretty fired up about it because it's been pretty wild. Literally while we were talking, apparently, something has.
And I'm telling you, my source is somebody that has been talking directly. My source on the Nate Marshall kid, I'm looking at my exchanges right now. This is a national recruiting reporter who has been talking every day to people that represent Marshall, and sometimes Marshall directly.
Gotcha.
And he and I were discussing Marshall at 11:18 this morning, and Michigan wasn't being mentioned. And less than 2 hours later, he's committed to Michigan. I think that may speak more to anything else when I say eyes and ears open at all times. And if an alien spaceship flies out of the sky, be ready for it. Because what he said right here is WTF, no one said anything. I'm stunned. Don't be stunned by anything.
Yeah.
Don't. If tomorrow you hear, oh man, Jamie French signed with Sam Houston State. Well, maybe not that. Jamie French signed with Purdue, which feels a little bit like Sam Houston State. Hey, they're in the Big Ten. They'll have 20 million too. Don't be shocked. What I'm telling you is that kid going to Michigan isn't going to be the last time in the next 24 hours that we hear a completely out of Albuquerque, like change of direction in a recruitment. So I shrugged my shoulders a little bit. Was I wrong? Yep. But am I confident that I was talking to somebody that knew what they were talking about? Yep. And I mentioned yesterday, I talked to Texas sources about that, and they were somewhat downplaying Marshall because he wasn't the top of the top priority. Yeah. I'm thinking back to, you know what? Thumb sign emojis. Don't read too much into them sometimes. They're very subjective.
Right. Yeah.
I made a comment about Nate Marshall to a source of mine, and I sent a screenshot of what had been said about Nate Marshall from my source. And the source that I sent that to just did a thumbs up. And I was like, well, does that mean thumbs up cool? Or does that mean thumbs up I agree?
Yeah.
As it turns out, I don't know. I'm going to have to ask him, hey, that kid went to Michigan. What was a thumbs up for?
Yeah. It's like if you express something super deep to someone in a text and their response is just K. It's a capital K. And you're like, wait a minute. I just poured my heart out. Like, what are you doing? Yeah. Okay. Our man Wes with a $10 super chat. What's up, Wes? The last 3 days have shown how other programs are throwing shit at the wall to see if it sticks, where Texas is much more organized, thorough, and methodical with their approach. Feels good. Is that how you would tell Wes and Texas fans to feel, Catch?
I think so, mainly because this isn't what's happened in the last 72 hours, I think has been anticipated by Texas. If we go back to July and August and decisions where recruits were being made, their thought process was, it doesn't matter. Don't bother me in July with your recruiting consternation. And with Fasusi, we know they didn't even have NIL discussions. So when that kid made his decision in July, Texas hadn't even revealed their cards yet. And that was purposeful. Because what I had been told was, hey man, if we make whatever our move is in July, that means August, September, October, November, December. That means the competition has 5 months to get its shit together and respond.
Yeah.
That, if the number's 1.2, if Texas really wanted DeCorian more and Oregon's limit was 1.5, well, Texas would have known for 5 months. Okay, well, we got to beat 1.5. How do we do that? Now, will Oregon match it? How might it go? Is that what we want to spend on the position? There are a lot of questions that go into this, but Texas's position in general was, we don't give up our position on anything on the NIL front for the most part. That's not, every situation is a little different because some kids live in states like California where you can talk about NIL now. And so for a guy like Josiah Sharma, you couldn't just sit around and be like, we're going to wait. But for the most part, even with the Michael Fasusis of the world, the approach has been, we'll do it at the end. And that's when, right or wrong, this could also this could be a thing that would blow up in their faces. Well, it didn't work out. That, it was, I think, a little bit of a risky strategy because, again, real time, we're talking about this as it's unfolding. So we don't have the good fortune of being able to look back on this and say this was either smart or not smart based on what actually happened. We're in the present. So, even now, look, if Oklahoma gets Fasusi and it's like, well, Texas waited too late. I mean, that is a possibility. So, but what I would just say is, whatever you think Texas's approach has been, it hasn't been by accident. They are not reacting right now. They're acting on their plans that have been in place for months. And I think you guys know that, look, there are times when I look at what Texas does from a strategy standpoint inside the program, and I'm old man from the Muppets, right? Case in point, they didn't go get a punter in the portal. And no one else has ever bitched about a team not going to get a punter in the portal more than I have for months. I feel bad. Michael Kern and his family probably think it's personal. It's like, well, it's not personal. I'm just about get a guarantee on the box. Yeah. Make sure if he's better than somebody who's proven good. So like you guys know, I'll nitpick Sark to death. It's probably why Sark will never like me. It's like, I'll compliment Sark on all the good stuff, but I'll say, I'll nitpick. It's what I do. I'm a nitpicking fool. But I have come to see what they've done to have a lot of foresight in it. They foresaw what's happening right now. And so I don't think anybody will act in shock on the Texas side, no matter what happens.
Yeah. Hey, kids, Texas didn't get a punter? Boy, they're going to kick themselves about that.
That's a very good. It's Statler and Waldorf.
Is that the other one? Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Which
one am I?
I don't know. I'd have to go double check of like, are they both bald? One's got a mustache. That's
I think Statler has the mustache.
Yeah, I don't know.
Has a mustache. Yeah. I feel very Waldorfish.
I don't know.
Can I just be Waldorf?
You definitely feel more Waldorf than me.
Yeah.
Ain't much about me that's a Waldorf.
I can see you as a Statler.
Yeah, let's go that way. That probably needs to happen.
Okay, guys, let's see some Photoshops. I want to see a Chad and Jeff.
There you go.
Statler and Waldorf.
We'll get that. We got some super chats we may get a little buy or sell to you today as well, but we are talking lots and lots of recruiting day before signing day. Remember, 8 a.m. tomorrow on National Signing Day. Catch Anwar Sukamel. They're going to fire it up and do a big National Signing Day show for like 2 or 3 hours tomorrow morning. So jump on and get your notifications so you know that is happening. Also, thanks to our great partners, including Sinus and Snoring Specialist. Y'all know I love them. The other night, in fact, was this last night? Yeah. My wife would not go to bed without that CPAP machine. She comes in to get me to help her find a part that she thinks she lost. Now, we found it pretty quickly. She was able to get everything figured out, put together. That shows you how devoted she is to that CPAP because she's sleeping so much better. She's not having to get up throughout the night, not restless throughout the night. She's sleeping great, and she has to because she's got a job where she gets up very early in the morning. If you've got those kind of issues, sleep apnea, snoring, sinus infections, you got allergy stuff that hits you, this is the place that can make it all change for the better. Sinus and snoring specialists, call 601-0303 or hit them up online at sinussnoringent.com. You will not be disappointed. Sinus and snoring specialists feel clear, rested, and healthy. All right, it's been a definite healthy show today. By the way, almost 1,700 of you in the Specs chat. We do appreciate you being there. This next super chat, believe it or not, is for me. Heartbeat 10, $5. Chad, from the perspective of somebody rooting against Texas, when you were watching Texas and A&M, what quarterback struck more fear in you for Texas? Heartbeat, definitely Quinn Ewers. Had Arch thrown some passes, maybe I would change my mind. I love the play calling feel. Texas's fourth down play calling felt innovative and new and fresh and dangerous. The A&M fourth down play calling felt like an old man throwing a very large rock. But if you go like RPO and Arch had thrown a pass, I think that whole stadium would have freaked out at the notion of that. All Arch made me think was 2025 and Austin is going to be a bear for the Aggies. But that night, it was Quinn. It was Quinn. The throw to Wingo, the throw to Golden, the throws to Gunnar Helm in those plays, that scramble where he showed you that the ankle was enough, it was number 3. Right? I understand what the pick six was. But as he's driving down the field to make it 20-0, 24-0 or whatever, yeah, I was plenty freaked out by number 3. Thank you for the super chat. All right. A couple other small ones here. Catch.
By the way, there's a lot of speculation now that it looks like Javion Hilson will end up at Missouri.
Is that right?
Last second, Missouri came in. What have I been saying? Everybody's got money to spend.
Dude, that is amazing. If they end up with Hilson, we'll keep obviously.
And I barely had any of my sources really mention Hilson. Certainly wasn't mentioned yesterday when talked about the top priorities. His name wasn't even mentioned yesterday. So in the end, I'm not quite sure what happened there. I'll just say that Texas, if Missouri offered that kid $1 million, Texas wasn't going to do that. That where they're going to be willing to spend their money, I think, is based on a little bit of urgency from a need standpoint. And there's just no way to get around it. Javion Hilson's not starting at Texas next year. And with Colin Simmons around, he might not start for 2 years. And by then, a guy like that may already be in the portal. So I think he likely had a really, really nice offer from Texas. But I always thought that A&M would actually – we talked about it. It's like, well, A&M could claim they won head-to-head and took a guy away from Texas if they came in with a big offer. But it sounds like Missouri did that. And look, I can't stress enough the fact that Missouri would pull off that, I think, is probably another example of what we're talking about, which is if I told you 2 weeks ago that this was going to happen, that Missouri was going to get Hilson, you go, wait a minute, he just visited Michigan. He's visiting A&M. He just visited Missouri for the first time this past weekend. I'm guessing that they absolutely broke the bank for him. And if you're Missouri, goodbye. 5-star guy, no matter what price they got him for, I think that's probably a wise investment for Missouri. That guy's got a chance to be a first-round draft pick. You'd much rather spend that kind of money on that kind of prospect than spend half of that on a guy that's got an 80% chance of missing.
We had a couple other super chats come in here. Catch kind of I don't know if this is off topic or not. Just who's the future at center for $199 for Rock Drums?
I mean, I think long-term wise, Daniel Cruz, who they signed in this most recent recruiting class, is the long-term answer at center. I think the What is the immediate future at center? I'm not sure. They could, they could have a guy like Cole Hudson, maybe. Obviously, they've got Connor Robertson who's back there, but I don't know that at the moment they have a guy that they absolutely feel certain about for 2025. So I think the jury's out. I wouldn't be shocked if a high quality center, which those guys seem to enter the portal more so than tackles, just weirdly. If a high value guy went into the portal, it wouldn't shock me if Texas surprise maybe, but shock. No, I think the coaches know that they don't have a definitive answer there going into next season.
All right, you may need to explain this one to me, Catch. Brian for $1.99. Need a young, hot Texas X to be Ellison side chick? I don't get that reference. What does that mean?
Ellison.
Are they talking about the school? That's the school, Colleen Ellison? Is it Ellison, a character in a movie I'm not getting?
No.
Yeah, Brian.
It's got to be a character in the movie. Brian, who's Ellison?
Yeah, I don't get Ellison's side chick. I don't know what that means. Thank you for the super chat, though. We do appreciate it. And let's see. I think we have cleaned off the super chat. So if you want to send us another one, we will get to that. We're at about 126 here. Catch, anything before we hit buy or sell here? You want to buy or sell?
We can do buy or sell.
All right. You want to go first or second?
I'll go second. Primarily because I need to get the hell off at some point and get back to. I got guys. Hey, I got 5 stars committing. I'm flying blind here.
I understand. We can do it quick. Here we go. Buy or sell number 1. The best player in College Station was Wisner.
Sell Vernon Broughton.
Okay. Buy or sell number 2. Bama will be in the CFP.
Sell. They're done.
Wow. I think they're out.
I think the ACC is getting 2.
Interesting. We'll see where Bama is tonight. 6 o'clock, Football with Friends. I'll have it for you. Buy or sell number 3. Catch Iowa State or Clemson or UNLV is about to shake some things up.
Buy. I think Clemson is going to win the ACC championship, and Clemson and SMU will both get in.
Interesting. Okay. Buy or sell number 4. Texas gets Fasusi and Justice Terry.
Sell. I don't want to be a jinx.
Okay, fair enough. And 5, buy or sell number 5. Britney Spears was 43 yesterday. She is top 10 pop stars since 2000, maybe top 5.
I mean, it has to. Instinctively, it has to be a buy.
I think the top 10.
If I say, but is she bigger? Let's just real quickly. Let's work this out a little bit. Is she bigger than Taylor Swift?
I would say no.
Is she bigger than Beyonce?
I would say no.
Is she bigger than Shakira?
It's an interesting battle. I would maybe say yes to that one.
Maybe a push.
Yeah,
and maybe worldwide Shakira, but maybe stateside.
Right. And then the other thing is, if you're adding in male pop stars, that's where I think she gets pushed down enough.
No, I'm just thinking of females.
If you're just going females, then I think the top 5 is more attainable.
Selena Gomez?
Yeah, yes.
Gwen Stefani? She's bigger than Gwen, right?
Yeah. If we're just saying pop stars, yes.
And maybe not her music will eventually be judged as well as Gwen Stefani, but
right now, if I just looked at, I'm guessing Britney sold more records than Gwen. That's just a guess.
Yeah. No, I don't. Lana Del Rey.
Oh yeah, I'd go Britney.
Billie Eilish.
I mean, Billie's on the way, but it's probably still Britney right now, isn't it?
How many Grammys does Billie Eilish have to win before she gets over?
Yeah,
I mean again, there's Britney Spears, the pop star.
Right.
And then there's Britney Spears, the hot woman.
Right, because pop star and Grammys don't necessarily have to be. But it doesn't have to relate.
Are we just talking about she's one of the hottest 10, or is she in a top 10? Because her window of success is relatively small compared to some of the people. Christina Aguilera.
I mean,
has
for me,
to be above Brittany, right?
Right. For me, Christina would be bigger.
So I just, I'm working my way. I'm going to say by top 10, maybe top 5. Yes.
Yeah, the maybe. Yeah, that'd be a little discussion there. All
But
right.
if
That's
you
what
want to say single biggest year, like if you took peak of their powers,
right.
just the apex, I think she's either second or third. I think the top 3 at that point is Taylor, Beyonce, and Brittany. That nobody that we're talking about other than those 2 ever had the highest peak that Brittany had for a small window of time.
Okay, real quick catch. Josh is saying you being able to name 50 female pop stars but not knowing Keith Ellison is prime brain rot. Keith Ellison. I don't know. I still don't know who that is, but
I mean, Josh, here's the thing that I would say. Stick around. If you want to see brain rot, I'll give it to you. By the way, I just did like a Keith Ellison Google search, and Minnesota Attorney General is popping up. Like, I'm sorry.
I don't know who that is. We are so sorry, Josh. So sorry. All right. That is my buy or sell. You got anything for me?
Man, I'm still trying to figure out who in the hell, what Keith Ellison is he referencing? Do you think he meant to type out Colleen? he got auto-corrected?
I don't know. Real quick before you jump in, I like this from South End Zone Queen 199. Coach Flight have any connection to Michael Terry? Wait a minute. Is South End Zone Queen watching airplane flight stuff? Is that what's going on right now?
I doubt it. They can't meet kids in person, and it can all be done over the phone, and is. They can't meet with the kid in person. So they can talk to him, but they can't visit.
Okay. South End Zone Queen, thank you. All right, Catch, you got buy or sell or what?
I'll go buy or sell. Buy or sell number 1. Last night, Monday Night Football, you found Broncos and Browns watchable television, and you stayed up for it all.
Buy. And much like the best roller coasters on earth, if I can just watch them and I don't actually have to be on them, they're awesome. Jameis Winston.
That's not your quarterback.
It is not my quarterback anymore. I remember what that was like. Browns fans, if you need some counseling, call me up.
God, you've lived through some stuff.
Man.
And you're a Cowboys fan.
I'm telling you, dude. They put a stat line together last night of what last night was singularly for him. He did something last night no NFL quarterback's ever done when you combine it all, which included 2 pick sixes. It was amazing. And it was Jameis to the max. It's just incredible.
Buy or sell number 2, you would rather the Cowboys forfeit all of the rest of their games than to actually watch the Cowboys the rest of the season, maybe win a couple. Because I found this weekend Cowboys free to be much more enjoyable than, oh God, they're on at 3. I've got to put them on. And then, I just emotionally go through a thing. If I don't care, I'd be okay with Cowboy season being over.
Catch, I would never, ever think of agreeing with something like this. But when I reset the helmets and that Bengals helmet got pointed at the Cowboys, I just thought, I don't want to see that. Like, I don't want to see Joe Burrow and Chase go against the Cowboys. Am I going to have to watch that? When does it happen? Monday night? Oh, I'll have the Outsider show to distract me for part of it. That's literally what I thought. So I think I have to buy. I can't believe I'm about to say it, but yeah. Unless you can tell me they play the Giants every single week.
See, I don't want to play. I don't want to watch a game where it's like, hey, look, we're better than like the real Drudge.
Right. You don't want them to like get to muss the hair of another team in the league. I get you. I'm going to buy. You've talked me into it. I'm buying. Wait, hold on. Hold on. Josh has something to admit. For only $1.99, though, Josh, you should have paid $5 to admit you got it wrong. It was Larry Ellison, not Keith Ellison. I'm dumb. Now look it up, Catch, and tell me who Larry Ellison is, because I didn't get it.
He co-founded the Oracle Corporation.
Oh, a big money guy. Big money.
The Michigan guy.
There we go. See? Big money. We're connecting it to NIL. Thank you, Josh. Thank you for admitting it. It is a It is a strong man that it can admit that he's wrong. Thank you so much. All right. Sorry, Catch, to interrupt. Go ahead.
Buy or sell number 3. Lamont Rogers made your day as an Aggie fan. Yes, Saturday was a loss, but a 5-star-ish level offensive line prospect will always make your day better.
Yeah, buy. And it's something that they need. I mean, the Aggies were not elite on the offensive line this year. And even when they had, I mean, the running game was kind of like, what's it going to be? You didn't know to start with. And Moss eventually emerged. But I don't know that he was ever truly a badass, and that run game was never badass. And I've been, doing what we do. That name's been out there a while, and I was happy to hear about it. So, yeah, it's a buy. And Lamont Rogers, welcome to Maroon, brother.
Buy or sell number 4. Call your shot. Michael Fasusi to Texas.
Yeah, buy. Let's do it. Let's do it. Because you know what moms can all respond to? Money. Mama has issues. We get that. She got feelings about her little baby boy. But money can help with those problems. Money can buy travel. Money can get you to Austin. Money can get him to you as well. And eventually he may just look you in the face and go, Mama, here's what they're going to do for me. And all of a sudden, Mama might be able to form that hand into that hook 'em horns, upside the right side up instead of the other way around. I'm gonna buy.
All right, I'm done with buy or sell questions. We got to talk about Larry Ellison.
Okay,
because he is the guy that is responsible for the quarterback flip, Bryce Underwood.
Okay, he is the Michigan Connect.
Except, he's not from Michigan? He has no Michigan ties.
Weird. But
I'm looking at an article on the Wall Street Journal. Let me read you the headline, the sub-headline, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Headline: The Billionaire, His Mystery Wife, and College Football's Wildest Recruiting Saga.
Okay.
Underneath it says, why did Larry Ellison, a man with no ties to Michigan, help the Wolverines land the number 1 quarterback? The answer lies with a 33-year-old woman named Karen Zhu.
Wow.
That man is whipped, and by God, she loves football. And she was like, yo.
All right, wait a minute. Are you
if
telling
you
me
really want to love me, I want Bryce Underwood for Christmas.
Are you telling me there's a 33-year-old hottie out there that married a super billionaire and got him to flip the number 1 quarterback in America for her just because?
That is what the Wall Street Journal is reporting.
Catch, to quote,
she's the sexiest woman in America today.
Catch, to paraphrase Carl Reiner from a movie you referenced earlier, Ocean's 11. That is the sexiest thing I have ever heard in my life. That is so sexy. Well done. Well done. Wait, hang on. What's her name? Are they saying this is her name here? Is it Megan? No.
Well, it says that in the headline, I haven't read the article because I don't have a subscription to the Wall Street Journal. It says the answer lies with a 33-year-old woman named Karen Zhu. I just pronounced it Zoo.
Yeah, so this must be okay. Yeah, it's his 30-year-old girlfriend / wife. That is brilliant.
I'm going to do a Google search on her now.
That is so incredible.
Maybe she's got an Instagram page I can follow.
Catch. I mean, that's one of the greatest recruiting stories I've ever heard, ever.
Okay, Karen Zhu goes by Jolene or Jolin.
Uh-huh.
And that is, according to an article in the New York Post, that is his wife.
This may be the chat of the day. What do you get a woman that has it all? A 5-star quarterback. That's brilliant. Well done, Jose. Oh my God. That is just, whoo. That's amazing. Hey, happy wife, happy life. Even Mr. Ellison believes in it. That's funny. Oh my God.
All right. She's nice. I'm looking at her in a leather jacket. And hey, man, women will make men do things. They always have. They always will. if you're worth $500 billion and your hot wife is like, honey, you want to have like a threesome with a supermodel? You want that in our marriage? Go get me a 5-star quarterback.
Man,
I think that's how that went down. I think he said, "Hey, I think they were like a Victoria's Secret show, and she caught him like oogling one of the angels. Because why wouldn't you? They're like half naked." And I think she waited for the right time and was like, "Honey, you know that thing you've always said you wanted? It can happen. It can happen tomorrow. It can happen tonight. Go get Bryce Underwood." And I think my man was like, done.
And my man said, "Hail to the victors."
That dude went to Illinois. He doesn't care.
Michigan is not undefeated.
Think about it like this, Chad. If you had $1 billion, that's one thing. If you had $500 billion, think of all of the things that you could do with that money. Think about if you had a hot wife, what she would have to do for you to spend $13 million on a quarterback so Wyoming could just have a quarterback, or Texas Tech. How about that?
Right.
You imagine Wendy was a Tech alum and she was like, if you just get me Bryce Underwood in Lubbock, the world is your oyster.
Man, what a recruiting story. Holy smokes. That's amazing. All right, Catch, I know you got to go. Before we go, I got one more bill we need to pay. Anything else before that?
No, I got to find out if she's got an Instagram page.
Yeah, I just want to find out if she wants to go have some Deep Eddy vodka, because I think she'd be fun out there. The Deep Eddy Vodka tasting room is open once we get to Thursday at noon. There are your hours up there in the upper left. Fridays and Saturdays, 11 to 7. Sunday, 12 to 5. Go have some of those great cocktails. Make sure you have some Crimson Creek Smokehouse barbecue as well. It's such a good time out there. Can't wait to get back out. Shout out to all the good folks out at the Deep Eddy Vodka tasting room. With the weather the way it is right now, it is a perfect time to get out there. Go head out to Dripping Springs and enjoy some Deep Eddy Vodka. All right, Catch, did you find something else? You find one more thing before we get out of here?
So Underwood's father is quoted in this Wall Street Journal article.
Yeah.
Quote, "I guess happy wife, happy life."
Wait, Underwood's dad said that?
Underwood's dad told the Wall Street Journal that he expects his son to receive more than $15 million while he's at Michigan.
Damn.
And the quote is, "I guess happy wife, happy life," end quote.
That is amazing. Brian threw back in a 199 for us. Says, "That's why I said UT side chick." We get you now, Brian. We put it all together. We apologize for not being up on the Ellison reference there.
I just feel like we're giving South End Zone Queen ideas.
Yeah. Oh, my God. Unbelievable. That is crazy. That's silly money right there. Silly, silly money. So
and I would argue an incredibly shrewd investment that if Bryce Underwood is nearly as good as he's supposed to be, it'll end up being, for Michigan, it'll end up have been an incredibly smart investment no matter where the money comes from.
That flip, and they also beat Ohio State again.
Arch Manning hasn't even played yet. And they've gotten, they've gotten more than $8 million out of value of Arch being, and Arch isn't even getting big NIL money, but what has Arch being on the Texas roster meant if you were to quantify it? Millions. Millions.
Yeah. Well, imagine, Catch, Michigan, Ohio State, or Michigan big game, whatever you want to do. And they'll be in a suite. Can you imagine the roar at the big house every time that couple gets shown on the big screen?
Oh my God.
Like, can you just imagine? Like, she's going to become that. And they are that couple but then it'll be what is she wearing for the games and all this kind of stuff. But then they're just going to show up and that camera will hit them and the place is going to go bananas.
Hey, when we were talking about the Texas alums, they haven't wanted their names out like this couple wants their names out.
Yeah.
But when it comes down to as an affluent alum, what's that dopamine hit feel like?
Right.
And that's I'm guessing for that woman, what you're talking about, she gets to go to Michigan games now and she will be worshipped.
Well, because everybody, I mean, not everybody. I would think most people like to help others. And if you knew you could go to a place where 110,000 people would all be the people that you'd helped, not to mention the players on the field, like that's got to be a pretty good feeling. And that's why I've never understood, Catch, why the famous and big time folks at Texas have not galvanized this way. And whether you want it out or not, I start with McConaughey, and I know McConaughey's connected in a way, but McConaughey or Zellweger or the guy from Twisters, or it's Owen Wilson, or it's Durant, or name the guys in the NFL.
Do you know what I would do if I was Greg Abbott?
There's just tons of them.
If I was Ted Cruz, which is a horrible thought.
We should do a podcast called If I Were Ted Cruz.
That might be the thing that would make my career. Sadly, I would work both sides of the aisle to help fundraise for Texas and Texas A&M. Like I would make it an initiative that although I have I'm not in either school, but I've helped organize those schools. I've called in phone calls. I've pulled strings. I've helped each of them raise $20 million. What happens when Ted Cruz goes to either College Station or Austin for a college football game? People think he's the Antichrist.
It's the curse. They think it's a curse. Yeah.
Imagine if he put $20 million though in either school's coffins. That dude shows up and you're like, hey man, I hate your politics, but I kind of love you. Be like, I don't know why the politicians haven't thought of this. I would play all the sides. I would be known as the politician that has helped every major program raise its NIL money. It made me the most every college campus I would go to. I'd go to SMU. I helped you guys raise $15 million. You know what they're doing? Opening up the gates, let me in, let me walk out to the 50 and waving.
Right.
All kinds of stuff, man.
It's got to be a good feeling. Did you say put money in the coffin instead of coffer? Did you just do that? Is that what you just said?
OBism.
That's a little OB. Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that one. What is money in the coffin? That sounds ominous.
It's supposed to be.
It's a mistake you've made before.
Not a mistake I've made.
Okay.
It's a mistake that has occurred on Orange Bloods, and we remember it for all of time.
Okay. I got you. Okay. Salute to, I didn't realize money in the coffin.
I can't explain it. Look, I'm going to make jokes sometimes and say things, and people are going to think I'm an idiot. And everybody just needs to know that sometimes I'm talking to 25 people.
Yeah. Fair
there
enough.
There are 25 people out of the thousands that will watch the show, and they will get it. And they'll go, oh, okay.
By the way, Jose has done it again. Larry Ellison is now officially a Michigan t-shirt fan. Well done. Well done, Jose. Well called.
You know what, Jose? Perfect proof. T-shirt fans matter too.
That's it. Hey, I don't know if this man is dating anyone, but here's what I would say. If anybody in Austin knows like a 25, 28-year-old smoke show that loves the Longhorns and wants to introduce her to Elon Musk, I mean, I don't know.
Look, man, I don't want to talk about anybody's wife. So
I don't know. You might be married. I'm not sure.
I want to throw this out there. I am generically speaking now, okay? I'm not speaking about anybody specifically. I am hypothetically talking. What kind of baddie is such a baddie that she could just make a billionaire, right? What? An 11-figure check? No, wait, no. 8 figures. An 8-figure check
But for
because
him,
she's such a baddie.
yeah.
Man,
He might have been focused all this time on making money, and he's just now started dating.
no, man. It sounds like they've been together for a while, which means she's still pushing the buttons all these years later. Or what if, hypothetical, he cheated on her?
Oh, here we go.
She's entitled to half.
You're
And
saying
she's
this is
you know what? If you don't want to give me 250 billion,
You're saying this is her Vanessa Bryant ring moment?
bingo. Bingo.
Kids, look that up. Look that up. I'm not explaining that one to you.
I'm not saying that's what happened, Chad.
Okay.
I'm saying though that makes sense. That if we're going to put together a list of the top 5 reasons why this might have happened, I think it's in the top 5. I also think in the top 5 is she's just a baddie.
I was going to say, can't we just make number 1 possibility that he loves her and she loves Michigan?
Yeah, but we're men though. Like the question is, how did this happen? You had to leave in he fucked up. Because we're men. There can't be a top 5 reasons why a man did something where he made a gigantic mistake isn't in the top 5 options.
Here's all I know. If you're right and he went to, what'd you say, Illinois or Indiana?
Yes. He went to Illinois and the University of Chicago.
I hope somebody knows him well enough at Illinois, and I'm sure he's donated plenty to his schools, but if I knew him well enough, I'd just send him a real short email that just said, the fuck? What the? Come on. Really, bro? Really?
And I just want everybody to know, I'm not mad about any of it. Cool. I think it makes for a great story. And look, Missouri being able to, what do we hear? The one of the big negatives about all of this, and yes, I do have to go, but I'm enjoying the conversation, so everybody else can just kiss my ass. If I miss another commitment, I'm sorry. All the top schools are going to dominate. Is that what we're seeing this year in college football? I mean, I don't know if this is a one-off or not, but Indiana's in the top 10, SMU's in the top 10, Alabama's not in the top 10. Like, we've seen something happen this year in college football at the perfect time where the playoff arrives, where there's a mixture of big kids and little kids sitting at the big table this year. And when we're looking at recruiting, Missouri just pulled off a 5-star defensive end edge player that Texas coveted, but probably didn't want to go to the mattresses for. So Missouri wins him. Like, I think that's healthy for the sport.
Here's the key catch. We may be seeing big teams and little teams, but what we're not seeing is big wallets and little wallets, because what Missouri and SMU are showing is that if you got to have your wallet involved, you can become part of this discussion.
And how much money SMU joined the ACC and was like, hey man,
we're good.
We don't even need y'all's money.
You can put us on TV, but y'all don't need to give us that money for a little while. We're good.
We're good.
Yeah, we live in Dallas.
We don't need your money. We need your platform.
When y'all come to Dallas, you'll understand.
And isn't that the smartest move? That, in retrospect, it's early. What a coup for the ACC.
It looks brilliant now because they're getting so much more money from other things, including this weekend in an ACC title game.
Well, and I think they're now the number 3 program in the state of Texas. Like, legitimately moving forward. They weren't in the discussion 12 months ago. They are so elevated above a Texas Tech or a Baylor right now. And what happened? They got aggressive and said, you know what? How about no for an answer? What do we got to do to get a seat at the table, and we'll take care of the rest?
Yeah, because there's a lot of Fasusi's moms in that Dallas area that are going to pay attention to them. I want my baby closer to home. You do? Do you know where the SMU campus is? Yeah. Do you know how far it is away from your house? Yeah. Well, College Station and Austin are a lot farther away than that. And here's what we can do for you.
And so anyway, we're wrapping this thing up. If it sounds like I've been excited today, this is exciting. It is. How many times in our life do we wake up and literally have no idea what tomorrow will look like? We don't know what the next 5 minutes is going to include, but
Yeah.
tomorrow,
Y'all are gonna, when y'all start at 8 a.m, y'all are gonna just have to spend a lot of time of here's what's happened overnight, because there's
Dad,
no
I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's happening tomorrow.
I know. It's just wild. It's wild. Who knows? Maybe we got another. I mean, and here's the other thing, Catch. The guys that flipped yesterday, 2 days ago, and even today, could they flip again?
Anything's possible. It goes back to what I said on the transfers. That remember yesterday, I was like, what schools will make deals with transfers, but they won't want them to announce until the end of the cycle because they don't want schools to have enough time to respond. If Texas really wanted
Marshall.
Thank you.
Nate Marshall.
Yes, thank you. The Nate part I wasn't struggling with. I keep wanting to call him everything but Marshall. Nate Washington, Nate Kibble, Nate Newton. I got a lot of Nates in my head. And I just,
that's fair.
I wanted to call him Nate Blackshire, and I don't even know that that's an actual person.
Good name. I'm going to use that at a hotel. If I ever need
I have no idea why I wanted to call him Nate Blackshire, but that popped into my head. If Texas really wanted to, they have time.
Yeah.
If they called up Michael Fasusi, hypothetical, and they said $2 million, and he was like, "Cool, I'm going to be a Longhorn."
Mm-hmm.
And then 15 minutes ago, Oklahoma called him up and said 2.5. And he was like, "Okay, I'm going to stay." And I'm just throwing these numbers around. Like, I don't think this is what we're talking about. I'm just doing it for the exercise. Although it's not inconceivable, I suppose. He's like, you know what? Now they have the highest NIL deal. It's where I want to go. He could call the Texas staff and say, I'm decided I'm going to stick with Oklahoma. They could call him in 5 hours and get a phone call and say, 3. Yeah. 3.5. I mean, how crazy does it get? You know what I mean? Like, it's not going to get to that. But
it's like an auction. Do I have a paddle in my hand?
Hey, and all of these guys have agents. And most of them are not like local bumpkins. Right. Most of these guys that become friends of the family realize how much money's at stake and they're investing for the future. So they know what they're doing. Most of these guys, some guys have handlers, but a lot of guys just have representation. And the representation knows how to, think about Adam Lowy. Those billboards don't get printed because he says yes to every first offer he receives. Yeah. Hey, Adam, we'll give your client $1 million. Great, done. Let's go home. No, Adam's like, excellent. Mm-hmm. I'm going to call you back in 5 days and I'll let you know what we think. And then when he calls back, he's like, half, Eddie, not 1 million, half.
Oh my God. All right. We are damn near to 2:00. And thank you guys for being in. Good, energetic 2-hour show today. 1,700 of you in that Specs chat as we finish. By the way, thank you for over 23,000 subscribers now. And I think we're at 11.5 million views on the YouTube channel.
We might hit 12 million tomorrow.
So we might get there. So thank you for that. All right. And also liking, subscribe. Hey, did you subscribe on the way in? If not, subscribe on the way out. Did you like the show on the way in? If not, like the show on the way out. We would appreciate it. Get those notifications so you know when the special stuff pops up or the regular stuff. Like tomorrow at 8, the National Signing Day show. 8 a.m. tomorrow. We'll have our regular show at noon tomorrow. This evening at 6, Football with Friends with the live reaction to the CFP. Probably not a lot of drama. Probably Texas in that 2 spot again. But hey, tune in. The guys will discuss it and see where it is. All right. Thank y'all for jumping in. We'll be back tomorrow at noon.